Hello and welcome to this video on editing and sorting your photographs. Do you struggle to keep up with editing and sorting your photographs? I know I do, but over the years I've developed 3 core strategies that really help me keep on top of editing and sorting. So number 1 is organization and systems, and I know that that's pretty boring, but it's boring but essential, because if you don't organize and sort your photographs, you'll waste a lot of time trying to find images, losing images, and just getting generally frustrated. The other thing is, I would much rather be out there taking photographs or making photographs than sitting behind a computer in a dark room. The more you can automate or systemize your editing and sorting and not have to worry about it, the more time you can spend doing the fun stuff, which is actually out there taking photographs. The other reason for being organized is if you need to put your hands quickly on your best images, for example, you want to show a group of friends, or you want to select some images for a portfolio or a website, you're able to do that quickly without getting lost in thousands of photographs. For example, if you're showing some images to a group of friends, you're going to quickly turn them off if you're having to scroll through thousands of photographs to try and track down the ones you want to show. And unfortunately, it's all too common. It's well known that you'll reduce the impact of a few photographs if you show too many. A common mistake I see is people showing variations of an image because they haven't really been able to decide which is the best one. And what it does is reduces the impact of the best image. So you do need to decide which are your best images and be able to put your hands on them quickly and hide all the ones you don't want to show. So how do I do this editing and sorting quickly in practice? Well, I have what I call a minimum ingest procedure. For example, I've just come back from 5 weeks traveling in Europe, and it was quite a busy time. We moved around, we met up with friends, we were constantly doing things, so I didn't have time to be sitting at a computer for hours at a time. So my minimum ingest procedure takes 5 minutes maximum, and that could be to download 1,000 images, but it's never more than 5 minutes. So what do I do in this procedure? I copy the images off the memory card onto the computer. I back them up so they're in 2 places, and I just do any basic housekeeping, like making sure the images are in the folder I want them to be in. For me, I sort them by a folder of year and a folder of month. And I might also apply a little bit of global metadata, such as location, country. Not too much. That's all I do. Stop. No editing, no adjusting color. And in fact, that's all I did for about 5 weeks, but I've come back with my photographs in order, ready to start the editing and sorting process. And for some of you, your main camera might be just your phone, but you can still make sure that your images are backed up. For example, my own phone automatically backs up my photo library to the cloud, so I don't even have to think about it. If my phone was stolen while I was traveling, or it was completely smashed, I know that my photographs are backed up in the cloud. That's the minimum you need to do. But beyond that, I also want to be selecting my best images and just flagging them somehow so that I can isolate them quickly to show a friend or to post to social media or whatever. I don't want to be scrolling through thousands of photographs on my phone. The strategy number 2, multi-pass editing. So what I mean by this is, if you've got, for example, 1,000 images to edit, you don't edit them or sort them in one go from first to last, but you pass through them a number of times. For example, the first pass could be simply to delete any blank frames or out of focus frames. And the second pass could be, like for my own case, it's joining together images that are meant for panoramas or multiple exposure images that are meant to be joined together to see as a single image. That makes them easier to evaluate. And the third pass might be narrowing it down to the best of a group of images. I use Lightroom for this sort of sorting because that enables me to use a star rating system and a flagging system to mark my best images and to hide the ones I don't want to see. But there are very similar rating or flagging systems in other software and also even on phones. So get used to using those systems for flagging your best photographs. By the time you finish your multi-pass editing, and that might be 4 or 5 passes through, you should have narrowed down your 1,000 images to, let's say, 20 of your best images that you'd be happy to show someone, or that you want to invest more time on to get the maximum possibility out of each frame. The other 980 images are simply hidden. I have a policy of not deleting images unless they're completely out of focus or they're just blank frames like an accidental camera firing. Because storage is cheap, and I may change my mind in the future and revisit an image and decide that actually it's quite good, or processing software may change which allows me to adjust an image and really make something of it. So I don't want to run the risk of deleting images that I might still want in the future. I would say have a policy about deleting images, whether you're going to do it or not, and just stick with it. Then you don't have to angst over it every time. So number 3 in my easy system for editing and sorting your photographs is to embrace imperfection. Editing fatigue is actually a well-known dilemma for photographers, and there's even a well-known study which surveyed hundreds of photographers about this. I'll leave a link to that in the description if you want to follow up on that. By embracing imperfection, I mean you just need to accept that a photograph is never really done. You just have to let it be at a certain point and move on to other photographs. You can always come back to photographs later, and that's a good way to think of it, because viewing something with a fresh eye a wee way down the track can help you make decisions faster and just move on. I think it's a good way to view your photography, that it's not set in stone. It's probably better just to move on, keep moving quickly through your images and come back to them at a later stage if you want to reevaluate. But keeping this process going allows you to spend more time doing the fun stuff, which is actually out there taking photographs. So in summary, my 3 points that I always keep in mind when I'm approaching editing and sorting photographs are: number 1, I want good systems in place and I want to be organized. Number 2, I approach editing as a multi-pass process. So by breaking it down, I make it much more manageable and approachable. And number 3, I embrace imperfection. I try and make decisions quickly on photographs and then move on, perhaps come back to the photograph after a break, and seeing it with fresh eyes is actually much more efficient than laboring a photograph for hours at a time. And if you follow these 3 simple rules and just keep practicing them, you'll probably find that editing fatigue isn't a thing for you. So all the best with your sorting and editing, and I hope you get plenty of time out in the field photographing, which is the fun stuff. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.